Hello, Moses, Joy, and Sam. This time I want to talk about the slave mentality and the child mentality. So it is related with lifestyle. You can live like a slave, or you can live like a child. What does that mean? In my life, sometimes I lived like a slave. Slave cannot decide by him or herself. Slave usually just does what his master directs him or her. So no choice, just work and do the work the master directs and ordered. When I was in the army service, I served in the artillery, and I was just artillery, but a cannon. I'm not a harpoon gunner, but artilleryman. I was an artilleryman, and then they said, "Oh, you change your duty," and I was ordered to become a FDC, Fire Direction Center member, to calculate the angles and such a thing. So it was 105 millimeter cannon. It was usually they were used in the Second World War and the Korean War, and it was not the automatic artillery, but it was a manual kind of things. That truck towed the cannon, and one unique thing was that I was neither there were two kinds of artillery men in my service, in my battalion, and most of them were we call 기간병. It's enlisted cadre. Enlisted cadre is they were recruited a normal way, and they served about 30 months. But I was a kind of a different. How can I say it? There's no such the word that I lived at home, and all in the morning, and I went to the army, and at 6 o'clock, usually I came out of the barrack. So I commuted about 18 months. So during these times, being an artilleryman was not easy for me, because I was almost all soldiers are new at first, and they have to get the training. I got training for 4 weeks, and then I was deployed to the artillery, and I began the army service. But usually the barrack makes people very passive, you know. The barracks always is very stressful, and there was a relationship is a up and down, a vertical relationship, and there was no such kind of personal respect, because there were many the trainees and just one or two trainer, and they tried to control, so it was not easy for me to adapt, because almost all things are order and obedience. There's no reason, just do it. And sometimes they mocked soldiers. I was trained at August. It was very hot, and there was so many the bugs, and usually in Korea there's cicada. They cried a lot in summer. So before I ate lunch, I had to go up to a tree, and in the middle of the tree I had to cry there, as a cicada do. Such kind of things. And there's one dog, a small dog, very small dog, and I was ordered to give a salute to this dog, because the dog lived there for more than 5 years. So they said that the dog is higher in rank than me, so you have to give a salute. So I had to give salute, but not always. But the senior, not officers, but the senior soldier, they ordered us to give salute. Such a thing. And also, when in the morning, reluctantly I went to the barrack, riding on a bus number 803, I think, and it took 30 minutes in the morning, but return, because of rush hour, so many cars, return home is more than 30 minutes, but less than 1 hour. But sometimes, because I was so tired, I got up to the bus and slept, and when I woke up, I came as where I departed. So I went to the barrack early in the morning, reluctantly. I had no such kind of willingness or happiness for 18 months. More concretely, it is about 17 months and 10 days. Because I got training, the military training at college in freshman year and sophomore year. So since I had no interest to be there, I had to. Almost all soldiers usually thought like that. The clock in defense ministry goes even though you sleep, whether you are asleep or not, whether you are work or not, or whether you are think or not. The clock goes. So even though I did not enjoy the service, army service, I had to work there. I had to be trained, and I did a lot of things. And almost all the memory in army service were bad to me. But sometimes there was a good memories, but not so much. And the reason I think it was so bad was I didn't want to serve there. I did not. I was forced to do because I am a citizen in South Korea, and we have conflicts with North Korea, and we need national security. But if I know about those things, why do you serve in the army? Why my army service has a meaning? Then I would behave differently. Even though they gave us pitch such kind of address, you must do something, you should kill the enemy kind of things. I didn't want to hear much about it. No kind of motivational. Just it was a kind of forcing power, pushing something. Likewise, in those days, I lived as a slave. I just waited. When it is the final day? When will I dismiss from the army? But ironically, after army service, I learned a lot of life lessons because I didn't experience such a hardship before I went there. Before I became a soldier. So I faced so many the hardships, difficulties. But you had to do, and if you do not, sometimes you are bitten, or there was a discipline. It was physically exhausting, and mentally, wow, it is like a hell. But anyway, I could be patient. Sometimes I thought that, oh, there must be a war, kind of things. But the morale was not so high just because it was hard to endure. So likewise, such a life, do you think it is good? No. It is really hard, but it was necessary for me, essential for my life. But if I were a little bit more mature, I would behave differently. But even now, I don't want to remember the life in the army service. But anyway. But yeah, in working at LG Chemicals and Korea University as a staff, or also reluctant. There was a lot of reluctancy. So even though I applied and was admitted to work there, but it was not easy to live such a life. And yeah, in the workplace, there were so many good people with whom I worked. They gave me many lessons, and they taught me how to work. They were good to me. But whenever I think about my life on the job, I think that only the motivation was money, because every 25th of every month, the salary was transferred to my bank account, and that was the chief motivation for me. So sometimes I had to endure, be patient. So in the working condition, there are so many various kinds of the personalities. So you have to live together and interact with them. So some of them are did not fit with me, with my personality. But anyway, I had to work to support my family, support for you and Lydia. Those things, I lived about 16 years, and I quit the job to go to the United States with you. The main reason is Lydia's study. I studied a pharmacy to be the pharmacist. And when do I feel son or a child or ownership? The slave or child it is related with your life, and it is related with your God. And the God said that I am your father, and I have taken care of you as a protector. And Jesus taught his disciples to pray that our Father in heaven. So in many places in the Bible said that if you believe in Jesus, then you are a child of God. If you believe in his name, you will be given a right to be his child. So you are a son of God, and you are a daughter of God. But we need to live as such a person, like child, not a slave. Even though we live in the church as a Christian, we are not used to live as a child. And many Christians in South Korea, I think they live as like slaves. Work. So if they have a such a kind of willingful heart, then it's good, because it is like a child. Child is related with the father, and they have a very close relationship with him. And if he know the heart of God, heart of the Father, then he can share many things related with God with others. But whenever I see and observe the life of Christians in Korea, it is like a group activity, even though their heart is not ready. are not ready. But since they have to do in a group, so they go outside to preach the gospel or to share the life stories or with others. So the more and more people that do not respond to such activities. So I think these days it's quite cold days, I mean in faith. And it is because our hearts do not follow our body, even though our body goes everywhere, but our heart do not follow our body. So actually our heart is the core thing, main thing, because God is there. And people are touched by heart, not their speech, not from the activities, but from their heart. So living in here in this world as a child of God, you will experience many things and find out what is the lifestyle of children of God. When I was young, when I was elementary school, I think I just willingly lived from my heart. So even though I was poor, I was happy, I was delightful. Freely I lived. And also these days, after I quit the job and return to Seoul again and follow the Holy Spirit, follow the direction of God, I came to feel that I am free. I am a child of God. So even though I don't have money, I'm not rich, but I am free. Excuse me. In doing in doing anything, even recording these things, I'm free. Just if I want to, I do. If I don't want to, I do not. It's up to me. And perhaps if I join again into the social life, then I had changed my attitude, lifestyle. But if God is in me, if I perceive that He is in me, I would be free. Because I can behave properly with God. Because God is the God of harmony and order. If you give me a direction to do something, or if He leads me to any kind of organization, then He will provide me the power and willingness and strength to live accordingly, live properly in that organization. So first the thing is perceive that I am a child of God. When God created humans, he thought that every person is my child. So even though we are not a Christian, we don't believe in God, God thinks that you are my sons and daughters. According to the Luke's Gospel, chapter 15, there are two sons. They're called prodigal son. The older son and the younger son, and the younger son went out of his house, departed from his father with his money, with the money his father gave, and he wasted all the money in wild living, wasted all things, all his properties. And then he came back to his house with reminding of his father. So his father welcomed him, and began a feast, and hold a feast, the parties for him, and bought new clothes, new shoes, and everything new. And when I read these verses, I thought that the younger son represents non-Christians, people who ran away from God. And the older son represents Christians. They live together with God, but they do not perceive that God is there with him. Even though God gave his portion to him, he did not know about it. He lived like a slave. So he didn't have any time of a party. He did not invite his friends. But when his youngest the brother came, he told his father that you have never given me such kind of a small goat to have a party. And he complained that you hold a party for him even though he wasted all his money. But his father accepted both of them, older son and younger son, Christians and non-Christians. God thinks that all of them are his children. Only non-Christians, they are children who do not believe in Jesus yet. But Christians are children of God who live together with him. But mostly people live like the young, like an older son here. They work. Everything they work is work. No joy. And they say that, preaching the gospel is joyful, but in a natural conversation, they said that, it is very hard for me to do that. So, anyway, we are children of God. I am a child of God. You are a child of God. You are not a slave. You don't have to live like a slave. Your life is not long. 100 years is not a long period comparing with our whole entire life, eternal life. So, in these years, when we live, let's live as a child of God, not as a slave. And if you find out God in your very place now, and if you find Him wherever you go, whatever you do, then you can find Him and follow Him, follow His direction, and walk together with Him, speak what He speaks, feel what He feels. And then you will be like a child of God. We can live as children of God here on earth, and we will continue to live after we die as children of God. Okay, my children, I love you, and I hope you to live as children of God, not as a slave. See you next time. Bye.